Everyone has heard of Gutenberg, and with good reason. Through the power of the printing press, Gutenberg was able to loosen the grasp that the elite had on information, effectively acting as a real-world Prometheus when he handed over the fire of the gods to the common people. It took 50 years for humanity to learn to wield this new power and ignite a renaissance that would last 300 years. It is remarkable how humanity can gain value from within itself just by bridging the gap between its people. Of course, Gutenberg, as influential as he was, does not get all the credit. The people who took it upon themselves to master this new media are just as influential. Consequently, the word illiterate originates somewhere in the early 15th century. So how does this relate to media literacy or choosing news?
The old adage, history repeats itself, comes to mind. Here we are in the 21st century and we find ourselves before a new medium to master, and it is now our turn to reignite the flames of the Renaissance.
We are the ones who will decide through our effort if the future will be full of discovery or baseless rumor. The future generations of our species will inherit all that we cultivate from this new portal, yet there are many who are being left behind, in some cases, twice illiterate. In 2016, we are deep into an information revolution brought on by the internet and related technologies. In an environment where anyone with access to a computer can spread information, now more than ever, it is important to understand how information is disseminated and who to trust. The first thing you should always do when reading information is ask yourself, who wrote this? You wouldn't believe the ramblings of a crazy person face to face, so you should hold to that policy online. Keep in mind that it has never been easier to write and share news. Knowing who the authors are and what credentials they hold is important. Strategy 2. When possible, try to get your news from the source. The testimony of an eyewitness is generally more reliable than a reporter's. In most cases, news is collected from the source and tailored to the audience by the agency spreading it. This modified news should be avoided because media outlets can sometimes add extra information or put a spin on the story. Strategy 3. Continuing on the subject of tailoring news, the US is among the few who has famously had a problem with media bias. Most news stations and websites peddle news with clear audiences in mind. The obvious examples are CNN and Fox. While one is constantly accused of pandering to conservatives and the other is said to pander to progressives. This is a bias that can be eliminated by assessing the purpose of a story and then viewing multiple sources. The more sources you view, the more easily you can build a complete understanding of the situation. Strategy 4. When processing information, perhaps the most important step is to separate fact and fiction. Sometimes when a story is still developing, the facts and the opinions can switch back and forth. The best strategy here is to understand the nature of news and suspend judgment until the smoke clears. Another problem when you consider the facts is currency. The age of news is definitely a factor. The population of the US is 248,709,873. That is a fact from the 90s. You should be careful to verify the currency of any graphs or tables a news piece may use to sway you. Strategy 5. The last strategy is more of a courtesy. Now that you know how to sort through information to form accurate ideas, it is time to give back. And the way you can do that is by never sharing or passing along information that could be questionable. It is your responsibility and duty as a carrier of the torch of knowledge. Information integrity is not a sprint. It's a relay race, and everyone must carry it to the next checkpoint. By employing the last strategy, you make the first 4 strategies easier for everyone.
And dig some sounds booming out of Jeep where I'm from. Cocoon tied to you, twin units 100 proof. You want some beef, they will cut you some where I'm from. The beats is infinite where I'm from. Voodoo, Ashubanim, Gangsta Lean.